beliefs that we've long held about the value that we offer, the sustainability of it, the ROI that we generate, have really come to the fore, because there's a purity in affiliate marketing. It's really about sales. Everything is monetized on pure sales. And so it's been a safe haven for advertisers to invest in and develop at a time when they want to make sure that their marketing is efficient and effective.
Hi, everyone. It's Wednesday, August 11th. Thanks for listening to the Behind the Numbers ad platform, an eMarketer podcast made possible by VTEX. I'm your host, Principal Analyst Nicole Perrin, and this is my platform to talk about advertising with some of the smartest and most interesting people I know. Joining me to do that today is Adam Ross, CEO at Awen. Hi, Adam. How's it going?
Hi, Nicole. Very good, thanks. Looking forward to talking.
Yeah, me too. We're excited to have you on the show today to talk about affiliate or partner marketing. But before we get into the main part of the show, I'd love to introduce you and your company a little bit more to the audience. So first, just tell us a little bit more about Awen. What kinds of companies are your clients, and what's the main problem that you're trying to help them solve?
Sure. So Awen is a marketing technology company. We specialize, our foundations, our roots are in affiliate marketing, although the services that we offer are broadening and evolving all the time. But primarily we connect advertisers, so anyone who sells goods or services online, the likes of Nike, Samsung, Vodafone, Booking.com, these are all our clients. And we connect them with our network of over 250,000 publishers or partners. And these are businesses that have access to engaged consumer audiences. And they can range from influencers or bloggers right up the way to big newspaper sites, media portals, cashback sites, coupon code sites, discount sites. And what we do is we have software that tracks any sales that result from those partnerships. And we do this across 3 continents around the world. And last year, we generated over $15 billion in revenue for our clients.
Cool. So now let's talk about you. Listeners are familiar with me asking guests to share something about their media consumption habits. And usually I ask them to compare themselves to the typical US adult, but you're in the UK. So instead, I shared with you eMarketer's estimates of media consumption among UK adults. So slightly different from what we're used to hearing, but can you share with listeners someplace where you're a bit of an outlier, whether that's because you consume more or less than the daily average?
Sure. And sort of question back to you, was there a difference between the UK and the US?
Well, there is a bit of difference. Part of the difference, to be fair, is that we go in a little bit more depth on the US side. So we have some more US-based breakouts. But yeah, there are some differences there. In the US, I think we're still watching more traditional TV than in the UK, although a lot of the digital figures are pretty similar.
Okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, I hate you for asking because it forced me to look at the screen time.
That's what it does. Yeah, that's what it does. This pops up every week, and I deliberately swipe it away and never want to look at it because clearly I have a major problem. And yes, I'm over-indexing on smartphone usage by a lot. So I blame Twitter for that. Oh, it's easy to blame Twitter for that.
But I get all my news from there. And I suppose when you see the numbers for traditional dropping, and then when you consider how much you can actually do on a phone now, it's probably a bit unfair to categorize it, to lump it all together like that, because you're consuming a lot of different types of media when you're on your phone. And this is the justification I'm giving myself anyway. But yeah, so my smartphone usage is somewhere around like the 5-hour mark, and that's probably a good week.
Yeah. Well, and so that's just to let the listeners know, because I'm looking at the data table here, 5 hours on a smartphone would be almost twice the average daily amount for a UK adult. So it's a little bit of an over-index there.
It's really not good, but some of it is texting and WhatsApp and these which we use a lot for many different reasons, for business and for personal. So I mean, you just do so much on a smartphone now. It's hard to know exactly where that time is spent. But Twitter is certainly the lion's share for me.
Well, let me put you really on the spot and ask, and you might not know off the top of your head, but do you feel like it's a similar amount of time on weekdays and weekends both?
I think it definitely gets worse at weekends. I mean, for sure.
That's not what I was expecting you to say. That's so funny because I spend what I feel like is too much time on my smartphone 5 days a week. And then weekends, I'm very unplugged on the weekends. Not like 100%, but like 85% probably.
That sounds much more healthy. I mean, it's during the week. I suppose I spend quite a lot of time on the desktop. I'm sitting on the laptop a lot, and I'm consuming a lot on that, and I'm spending a ton of time on calls. So I don't have as much time on the phone as I do on in the evenings and on the weekend when I'm sort of glued to Twitter.
Yeah, no, I mean it makes sense. Cool. So let's get into the main part of the conversation, and let's start off talking sort of broadly about the affiliate or partner marketing space. How would you describe how that market has evolved over the past 2 years or so?
So I'm always cautious when I talk about this because we're clearly dealing with this pandemic period, which has been so weird and awful for so many people. And both, from a personal and professional standpoint, so many businesses have suffered, so many sectors that we're very active in have been decimated, like travel, for example. And so I always want to make that sort of very clear and make that statement. But that aside, the pandemic has been an exceptional boost for affiliate marketing. For the industry that I work in. It's really accelerated a lot of trends that we were seeing developing very nicely pre-pandemic and pushed them maybe 5-10 years forward. And that's been amazing to see because beliefs that we've long held about the value that we offer, the sustainability of it, the ROI that we generate have really come to the fore because there's a purity in affiliate marketing. It's really about sales. Mm-hmm. Everything is monetized on pure sales. And so it's been a safe haven for advertisers to invest in and develop at a time when they want to make sure that their marketing is efficient and effective. And what's also happened is there's been a huge increase in the diversity of partnership types. So you can work with so many different partners now that address many different audiences. I mentioned, that we have this network of over 250,000 partners, and there really is huge variety there. We've seen influencer marketing, which I consider to be sort of an adjacent industry, really coming into the space more. And I think we have a lot of value to add there because we've been doing something so similar to influencer marketing for so long. And we've got very good at it. And we can apply the skills and the knowledge that we have to that industry to make it more effective. We're seeing, and this is a huge development, media houses, traditional publishers embrace the channel in a way that we never saw before. I mean, I've been in the industry a long time, and we've always tried to engage those types of companies in the space. And they've often turned their nose up at it. But over recent years, and then accelerated by the pandemic, they're now investing huge sums in it, have big teams that are responsible for it. And a lot of them are seeing triple-digit growth and investing more and more in it. And that's extremely exciting to see.
Yeah, that was actually a trend that, my colleague here, Audrey Schomer, reported on in a report for our clients in the spring. She did a report on publishers and commerce, really focused on affiliate. And one of the big trends that she focused on there was what you just mentioned, which is more premium type publishers getting much more interested in getting involved in this space.
Yeah, it's this content commerce, and it's a great way for these media houses, these mass media sites to complement their other digital advertising income. But it's also adding great value to the end user because they're providing content that people like. And there's a sort of, again, it comes back to this, the purity of the model. In affiliate marketing, it's incumbent on the publisher to make sure that whatever they're promoting actually results in sales. They don't make money unless it does, which means they're trying to enhance the quality of what they're offering. It's sort of a self-regulatory system that there's an ideal sort of value exchange between all the partners, and it creates great content and creates good outcomes.
Yeah, no, I mean, it makes sense. Anything else you wanted to mention about how the market's been evolving lately?
I suppose the other big change is fintech companies. So either, buy now, pay later type companies or challenger new banks, where they're not so interested in some of them, make a generalization. I mean, some of them are obviously interested in the revenue that's created, but they're mostly interested in creating an engaging consumer experience. And so they're often providing shopping opportunities, discounts, and whatever else to their users to keep them engaged with their service as a way to sort of make the banking service more appealing. And that's been extremely exciting to see as well.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. And they have generally been, among some of the most active advertisers over the past 18 months or so, given the pandemic situation that you were mentioning, right? You also talked about how important over this period performance advertising has been. People really focus on results. And of course, there's been a ton of discussion over the past 18 months about the fate of performance marketing channels in the cookieless future. You've got both targeting and the measurement and attribution side of things are going to become more challenging. So how is affiliate marketing positioned here? Do you expect affiliate to reap more investment as some other digital ad channels face these challenges?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's kind of funny because in the ad tech space or the MarTech space, we're probably one of the few companies or the few industries that were maybe a little bit disappointed by Google's decision to delay the deprecation of third-party cookies because we have been well set up for many years. I mean, over 90% of our network tracks through first-party cookies. And the only reason that there's still 10% that doesn't is because, generally speaking, advertisers can take a long time to integrate the latest technologies. We've been around for 20 years. We have quite a large client base. And so this sort of deadline of 2022 was really encouraging more and more people to adopt the technology. So now there's been a little bit of a delay on that. But fundamentally, we have a very light data footprint. You don't need a lot of data to function in affiliate marketing. And certainly you don't need personally identifiable information. And that puts us in a really strong position. So our tracking is really minimally affected by these browser and OS updates. And I think that's definitely part of the reason why brands and partners are turning to the industry more and more for all their marketing needs at the moment. I think furthermore, we facilitate direct partnerships between advertisers and publishers. So yes, we're there in the middle, but there aren't multiple touch points along the way. There isn't this sort of opaque supply chain. And really, we want to try and get out of the way and allow these partners to work together, because that creates the optimal types of relationships. And even from a tracking standpoint, our latest tracking is something called bounceless tracking, for example, where we don't even need to bounce the link through our ad network. Publishers can link directly to advertisers and we can still track it. In fact, it's a superior form of tracking where there's no bouncing between ad networks. It can't be interrupted by ad blockers, and it's also much, much faster. So it's really a great time to be involved in the industry. It's a great time for advertisers to invest in the industry. And we think we can sort of, again, complement or make up for some of the shortfall from some of the disruption that's being caused to the other channels.
Yeah. And, to your point about facilitating direct connections between advertisers and publishers, I've seen research that type of more direct relationship with a publisher will be one of the most common ways that advertisers kind of deal with these changes. It will be a more important way to figure out how to reach the right audience, finding a publisher that's the right fit, a publisher where you've seen in the past you get good results there, and not necessarily, running, in terms of programmatic display, not necessarily just doing everything through open exchanges, but focusing on PMPs, on PG deals, things like that. So I do think that facilitating those types of more direct relationships is going to be even more important in the future.
Absolutely. And it comes back to that point I was making earlier, where it puts more emphasis on the publisher to make sure that relationship is working.
Totally.
And that's a fantastic thing. They're working really closely with each other. The partners are working exceptionally close with each other to make sure that consumer experience is valuable. And that's how everybody makes money. And that's a great thing, I think, for the industry.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. We're going to continue more of this discussion about affiliate marketing in just a moment. But first, I've got a quick message from our sponsor, VTEX. Retail's next competitive threat may come from a business model or channel that didn't even exist a few months ago. This modern dynamic requires companies to adapt quickly, pivoting business seemingly overnight, something traditional commerce platforms just can't support. There's a new enterprise commerce platform on the rise, one that's fast, flexible, and doesn't require 9 months and $1 million to get up and running. Go to VTEX, VTEX.com/emarketer to learn more. Awesome. Back with Adam Ross to talk more about what's going on in the affiliate marketing space. So, Adam, I know that there has been some ongoing discussion in affiliate marketing about the need for more standardization. So can you kind of give some background to listeners? Like, what's this about? What are the stakes? What needs to be standardized and why?
Yeah, look, I think it's fair to say that affiliate marketing has had a sort of reputation that could be questioned in the past.
Mm-hmm.
I'll put it that way, to put it diplomatically. Many, many years ago, it was really the Wild West, and there wasn't much control or moderation or about how the channel operated. And the industry's come a long, long way since then. And the standards have improved significantly. And now fraud monitoring, brand monitoring is really just a given. And I think that's proved by the fact that so many blue chip advertisers, I mean, you'd be hard pressed to find any type of advertiser that isn't operating in the channel, that isn't doing really quite ambitious affiliate marketing at the moment. And they wouldn't do that if there was any safety concerns or brand safety concerns. So it's important to make that point. And now really it has to move to the next level, right? So we need consistent standards around how things track.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important that partners, especially as those partners become larger and more professional and they're really taking the channel seriously and investing more in it, that they can be assured that whenever they refer business, when they refer customers to advertisers, that it tracks. And a prime example of this is, many large advertisers have apps and have really quite good apps for purchasing, but very few of them put tracking on those apps. Yet at the same time, they automatically refer customers to those apps when they try and visit that site through a smartphone. So we've been on a big campaign to make sure that all those apps are tagged up and are tracking effectively. And I mean, this is critical because it means that, advertisers can really understand how their efforts are working and to make sure that they're optimizing against those channels. So some publishers are better at sending mobile traffic. Other publishers are better at sending desktop traffic. And you need to know, if you don't have tracking on the app, then you can't tell.
Mm-hmm.
So closing loops like that will ensure that there's absolute trust in these commercial relationships between each party. So I think that's absolutely critical to the success of the channel in the future. And furthermore, we need to, as the technology becomes more sophisticated and as advertisers can now really tag up in so many different ways, they can really understand, is this a new customer? Is this an existing customer? And it depends very much on the sector, what types of things they want to track. But what's happening is now they become very sophisticated in the way they commission. And some advertisers might take advantage of this. They might say, I don't want to pay for an existing customer, or I want to pay very little for an existing customer. And to those advertisers, I would challenge them and say, how do you define what an existing customer is in today's world? It's if you're selling something that's extremely unique and you're the only place in the world where you can get it, then maybe you have a case. But in the vast majority of cases, that's just not the case. I mean, consumers have huge abundance of choice. They can shop anywhere. And so I think people have to be very careful about that. And I think it's incumbent on platforms like us to make sure that whatever rules are in place are transparent. So a partner can look at the different competitors in a space and decide, I'm happy to work with them because they have a fair commission structure, and I'm not happy to work with these guys because it's maybe not as fair or not as lucrative for me. And I think standards like that need to be implemented across the board.
Mm-hmm. Are there any issues associated with perhaps just like varied ways of reporting? Like, does one provider maybe report like a 7-day conversion window and someone else has a 10-day? Are there any kind of differences like that if advertisers are working with many partners or many publishers, that they would just have trouble kind of comparing their results across partners?
There's a huge amount of flexibility on offer to advertisers in how they run their campaigns. And I think that's generally a good thing. As I said, it's because in other advertising channels, you've got to play by the rules of the big walled gardens. The Googles, they set the rules and you have to abide by them. In affiliate marketing, advertisers can play by their own rules, but I think it's incumbent on them to make sure that they are transparent about those rules and that they take the guidance that we offer. So conversion windows are generally transparent. So as a publisher, you can go on most of the platforms and you can see what they are, and they tend to be around the 30 days, around 30 days. But advertisers can set them shorter, and it's just important that it's fully transparent. I mean, we've introduced something that we call the Awen Gold Standard, which is really, it's a sort of carrot rather than a stick approach to say to our advertiser, this is how we believe things should work. These are the standards that we think you should set. And we will then label those programs as gold standard programs. And then publishers or partners can make the choice to work with gold standard advertisers as opposed to non-gold standard advertisers. And I think that's the way things should develop. And again, it's self-regulatory. Competitors look at each other and they want to attract the best partners. And so they want to set the best program terms.
Yeah, it's interesting. cool. My last question for you, I'm wondering how some of this applies to smaller advertisers, small and medium-sized businesses. Are they able to get involved in affiliate marketing as well? What do they have to know about it?
Yeah, I think it's a huge growth area for us as Awen. I think it's a really exciting area as well. I mean, we launched a product pre-pandemic called Awen Access, which is specifically targeted towards these smaller advertisers. And we analyzed the market and we looked at what are the barriers that are stopping these companies coming into the space. And it's about, making sure they're very low. So low contract commitment, low fees. You can sign up very quickly. It's automated. If you have, for example, a Shopify store, there's a very easy plugin to get your program live. I mean, these are the things that we've been looking at, and we're constantly trying to improve that. I think it's something that's historically been neglected as an industry, and there's more that we can do as an industry to be welcoming to these partners, because some of the programs that come in via that space are the superstars of the future. During the pandemic as well, we saw so much interest in the space and so many small businesses looking to take advantage of the space. And it's quite surprising the types of clients that emerge from this. You would never have imagined, we had one client who was selling face masks. I mean, pre-pandemic, you would never imagine this was going to be a booming sector, and it just exploded. And there are so many other such examples. And the other great thing about these small businesses is generally you're dealing with the founders or the CEOs. And so they're much more open to adopting new techniques and technologies. They're really innovating in the space, and it can level the playing field. They can create a program that's so appealing with so many bells and whistles that they can be much more competitive than big retailers that are doing the same thing. They can have higher commissions, and that's really exciting.
Yeah, no, that's interesting. And you were talking earlier about the kind of adjacency of affiliate and influencer marketing. And I've also definitely seen so many influencer partnerships that small businesses have gotten involved in because, if you kind of find the influencer that makes sense, you can totally maintain that relationship even if you're small, and it can be really custom, like you say.
Exactly. No, that is just a huge space for growth. And we have a US business called ShareASale, which some of the listeners may be familiar with, but they do a lot of great work in this field, really engaging with influencers. And often it's about sending them product.
Yep.
And facilitating that so they can understand what that product is and how it feels. And then they're so much more likely to promote it. And that content is so authentic, and it really encourages people to buy.
Yeah, no, that definitely makes a lot of sense. Super interesting. Awesome. Thank you, Adam. That's all that we have time for on today's episode of the Behind the Numbers Ad Platform, an eMarketer podcast made possible by VTEX. Adam, thank you again so much for chatting today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
And thanks to all of you for listening. I'll be back next week with the next episode of the Ad Platform. And in the meantime, please continue to let us know what you think at podcast@emarketer.com. Thanks.